Today I'm going to be sharing with you what $3,000 spent at Costco looks like, why you won't see any meat or vegetables in our grocery haul, and we're going to break down the price of each individual item as we go. We are in Canada, so all prices are in Canadian dollars, and our dollar is around 72 cents to the American dollar right now. And if you are new here, welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. My name is Chelsea, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I wanted to jump in here quickly and let you know that we have a few of the Little Mountain Ranch Gingiber tea towels left in stock. I think there's fewer than 50 left in stock, which just blows my mind since we just launched them last Thursday. It's amazing. So these are the tea towels. I have turned them into cafe curtains because I loved them so much. They are cheerful and so pretty. They're called the Autumn Harvest tea towel, and they have a lot of my favorite things that I harvested out of my garden this year. I'll put a link down in the show notes below and in the pinned comment if you want to grab one of the few that are remaining. And I do have a discount code for 10% off, which I'll also put down there for you. We're going to start over here with all of our dairy products and then move on to the stuff for the freezer so I can get that stuff put back into the refrigerator and the freezer. We buy a lot of dairy, which you're about to see. We also have a dairy cow, which always throws people off because they wonder why we don't make our own cheese, because we buy cheese or butter. Very simple reason: I'm a terrible cheesemaker and I don't like raw butter. And even I've tried pasteurizing the milk and making homemade butter that way. Just not a fan of either, so we do buy those. We buy a lot of butter. We actually have 2 cases. There's another case of butter over here, and each block of butter was $5.79, which is actually okay for butter, and that price has remained relatively stable over the last year, which is really nice. So each one of these cases is $231, and the way that we store this is just in our freezer. We pull out a couple of blocks of butter and put them in our refrigerator every week, and then it lasts for a good long while, about 6 months in the freezer, no problem. Probably could even last for longer, honestly. Our cheese was $14.99 for 1.1 kilograms, which I actually think is a fairly decent price for cheese. I would be curious to know what cheese costs where you are, because I'm pretty happy with that price. So total, this was $359 of cheese. That's a lot of cheese, and that's not all of it. We also have 2 bags of squeaky cheese. We are Canadian, so we do love our poutine up here, and we use this to make poutine. Squeaky cheese is one of the cheeses that are actually fairly easy to make, and I do make it from time to time, but this is for a quick meal. So we bought 2 bags of those, and those were $16.50 per bag, and they were 1 kilogram of cheese. My husband loves Havarti, so we have chipotle habanero, herb and spice, and jalapeno, and this is actually a good brand of Havarti. And then he also bought this one, which is creamy Havarti. This one's my favorite too. This one's really good. We also bought 2 boxes of cream cheese at $10 a piece for 4 boxes, which I thought was a pretty good price. In Costco, they had these really gorgeous carrot cakes, or they looked really gorgeous, and I was craving carrot cake with cream cheese frosting. That's what inspired this purchase. I went a little overboard, but cream cheese freezes really well. It'll freeze, excuse me, for up to 6 months, no problem in the freezer. So all of these are going to go into the freezer except for a couple of blocks, which will go into the fridge. I have a small fridge down in my pantry that I store all of the cheeses that we buy in, except for mozzarella. I will store mozzarella in the freezer, but I will grate it all first. I don't like freezing cheddar cheese because it tends to get really crumbly and the texture changes when you freeze it. But this stuff stores in our fridge downstairs. I do find that it is beneficial, although sometimes I do this and sometimes I don't, to open up these packages and then vacuum seal the cheese, because while these are packaged fairly well, they're not vacuum sealed, so there's air in there, and that can cause molding on your cheese. So if you do want to buy cheese like this and store it in your fridge, I do recommend vacuum sealing it. We did freeze a lot of strawberries this year and blueberries that we bought bulk from a local farm, but there wasn't quite enough to make it through the winter, so we did buy 2 bags of the wild blueberries. These ones were $16 a bag, $15 for the sliced strawberries, and then $17 for the 3-berry blend, which is my favorite. So all of these are primarily used for smoothies throughout the winter. And then these 2 yogurts, I really like using this Kirkland brand Greek style yogurt for starting my own yogurt. When I am making yogurt, I will use a tablespoon into a quart jar of this, and that will act as my starter to make my own homemade yogurt. And then once I have a really good strong batch going, then I can just use my own yogurt for starting. But I haven't been making yogurt over the last month, so I got these so that, well, one, I'm gonna eat one of them because it's really good yogurt, but the other one I'm going to use for starting my own homemade yogurt. Okay, I'm just gonna run that stuff down to the freezer, and then we'll get into all of this stuff over here. All right, let's dig into all of these groceries. So we're gonna start with the snacks that we bought for the drive. We generally make our own granola bites and our own granola bars, but for traveling, these are super convenient. $15 a box for the Made Good Organic Chewy granola bars. But one thing that we have noticed with granola bars across the board over the last couple of years is some serious shrinkflation. Look at the size of that little granola bar. It's just a couple of bites worth. So even though the price per box didn't seem that bad, the size of the granola bars themselves is pretty tiny. So we got 3 boxes of those. And then these ones are the same brand, Organic Granola Bites. These are super easy to make. We actually just made some the other day, but for traveling, really convenient. Again, pretty small little bag for snacks, but they tasted really good, and the mixed berry were delicious. We also got some chips. These Miss Vicky's chips are our favorite. These bags are pretty tiny, but not too bad. $17.50 for 36 bags of chips. We have 2 different kinds of gluten-free flour here. This one is an almond flour, blanched almond flour, $17 per bag, which is comparable to buying a bag this size of blanched almonds, but it saves you the effort of not having to make your own almond flour. One thing I will say though is that once anything is ground, it does start to lose or it actually loses a lot of its nutritional value. So if you do have time to blanch and make your own almond flour, I would recommend that from a nutritional standpoint, but from a convenience standpoint, this is pretty nice. And then this gluten flour, we have not tried this one before, but what interested me is that it said it was a 1-to-1 substitute for whole wheat flour. So I'm going to try recipes where I would normally use just whole wheat flour and try using this. It has no artificial flavors or artificial flavor or colors, nut-free, soy-free, dairy-free, and for ingredients, it's rice flour, buckwheat flour, cornstarch, potato starch, tapioca starch, and xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is a very typical additive for any type of gluten-free flour because it can give you a little bit more of that, I don't know, gluten-y effect when you're bread baking or any type of baking. So hopefully that's a good one. I got some razors. The razor has already been taken out of this pack. This was $50 for this pack of razors. This will actually last for quite some time. Icing sugar, this one got a hole in it on the way home, $2.50. Lots of baking coming up with the holidays. So, well, I mean, we're only in September right now, but I'm always trying to think ahead. And icing sugar seems to be one of those things that I'm forever running out of. So we got 4 bags of those. Parchment paper, of course, this is my favorite brand of parchment paper to use. And I never used to use parchment paper to cover my cookie trays. Whenever I would do any kind of baking, I would just put it right on the cookie tray. But since using parchment paper probably came as a suggestion from somebody off of a YouTube video, I am an absolute convert. I love this stuff, so we got that, and that was $20 for the double pack. These last a good long while, so good brand and lots of paper actually in those packages. This is our favorite brand of whey protein that we add to our smoothies. And I accidentally got a plant-based one. I have tried the plant-based one before. I did not like it at all. It's very grainy. So that was an accident, but we live too far away to take it back. So we'll just use it. $60 for that bag, which is quite expensive. It is 2 kilograms, but still. And then $50 for the whey protein. So if I was a cheesemaker, I could make my own whey because there's a lot of whey that comes out of when you're making cheese, but I don't. So we buy it. $6.40 for this big bag of tortilla chips. This price has been fairly stable over the last year for the Que Pasa tortilla chips. This is our favorite brand of tortilla chips. I don't want to miss anything here, so we'll go down over here. I have been using Molly's washing soda in the big 5-gallon bucket for years. One of those buckets can last us for a year of laundry, even for our family, and we do probably 2 to 3 loads of laundry per day here. But when we ran out of it, I want to say a month ago or so, we ended up buying some of this Ecos brand of laundry soap, and we liked it so much better. I have been using the Molly's for, I'm going to say somewhere around 10 years now. And so we were just kind of used to the way that it washed, but this stuff washes so much better. So we've actually switched out from the Molly's, which kind of makes me sad just because I'm someone who likes routine and I like using the same products. And I loved the idea of having one big bucket of laundry soap that lasted us for so long. I'll probably end up getting a bucket of it and just putting it in our long-term storage because it'll last forever, just to have in case of emergency. But this stuff works really good. So this is the Ecos brand, the Magnolia and Lily, which I really like the smell of, and it is $23 for this nice large container. That is 6.65 liters. Some Twinings tea, of course, $12.50. This is a little bit more expensive, maybe about 50 cents more expensive than it was last time, but still a pretty darn good price for 144 bags. Now this kind of cracked me up a little bit. Let's actually open this one up. I'm not sure about the marketing on these because it says give a little break on glasses. I don't think that that's probably the best marketing because you don't want your glasses to break, and they're notorious for breaking, at least in our house. But I wanted to take a look at these. This had 16 glasses in it, and actually I really liked the way these glasses looked, but we'll see how long they actually last. And actually, there was one more thing that I wanted to unbox with you. I love a good large pot, and when I saw this one on the shelf, I just had to have it because it's fantastic. This one was $50, and it was nice and good quality, nice lid. But look at the size. Gorgeous, perfect size. We are just about to hit soup making season here. I am a big soup maker and I needed another pot, and I just thought this was a really nice pot, nice heavy bottomed, beautiful stainless steel pot. I didn't even notice this in the store, but these handles are curved, so they sit really nicely when you pick them up, so they're not going to cut into your hands if you have a big pot full of, say, pasta water and pasta that you need to strain. That is a super nice pot. So that is the brand and the way the box looks. If you're looking for a good big pot for $50, I think that is a pretty good deal. That will last me forever. Some new razors. This was a new brand that we haven't tried before, $35. $19 for four boxes of Ziploc bags. Some home and office garbage bags for $20. And then I needed some new fire extinguishers, $50 for 2. We also got a new dolly. This was $150, but super solid 1,000-pound dolly. Really happy with that. I do have another pair of silicone gloves, but they are so firm, the silicone on them, that it makes it really difficult to actually grab the stuff in the stove. And this is a nice soft silicone, but easy to wash. And I thought they were cute and they would go with my kitchen nicely. $25. We have been using these Sonicare toothbrushes. Everyone in our family uses them. And it was actually a dentist that recommended that I get one of these. I think it was probably about 10 years ago or so now. So we switched over to them and they just clean your teeth really, really well. And one of the things about the one that I had purchased was that it would shut off if you pushed too hard on your teeth, because you can actually mess up the enamel of your teeth if you push too hard on it. This one does not do that, but it does have a timer on it, so it stays vibrating until the time, whatever the time is. It's probably a minute. And so that way, that especially for kids, that you can make sure that they're brushing long enough. So this was $40 for this. The one that I have is actually, I want to say 8 years old now, and you can just change these heads out. So we got one of those, a pair of sweats. There actually wasn't a ton for good clothes. The last 2 times I was there weren't a lot, but these, I liked these because they were nice and thick, and we are heading into the cold season here. I want to say, I think these were around 10 bucks. Some socks, 2 packages of socks, because you can never have too many socks, right? And then some more garbage bags here at $22 a box. And I think that was it for non-food related items. Oh no, there was one more, and this one was $13 for just a good mat for in front of the front door. We are heading into snow season here, as much as I'm sad to say it. So we needed to get another mat for the front door. So this Dawn dish soap was $12.50, but it's for 2.4 liters. And we got 3 of those. And Manuka honey, I use this medicinally. Manuka honey is amazing for cuts or infections. And I actually use this in my animal care kit. And we have healed, you would not believe the things that we have healed on our livestock using Manuka honey. So I was just running low on some, so I grabbed another one. Manuka honey is very expensive. This is 28 bucks for 500 grams of Manuka honey. So Manuka honey, I believe, is harvested off of the Manuka tree in New Zealand, and it has higher antibacterial properties than regular honey. You can use regular honey too, but this Manuka honey is incredible stuff. This is the same olive oil that we have been buying for years at Costco, and it is an olive oil I really love. It was $19, something like that, $19 to $20 for the double pack. But I saw these other 2 brands of olive oil. I did not realize that different olive oils had such different flavors until I traveled to Israel and tried some different varieties of olive oils at, we went on a tour of an olive orchard, and I was blown away by the different flavors of olive oil. So I found 2 other brands of olive oil that I had not seen at Costco before. So there's this one, the Olivia olive oil, and then this one, which was an unfiltered extra virgin olive oil. Both of them were the same price as this guy over here. So I got 2 of each because they came in the double pack, just to give them a try and see what I think. These organic millet brown rice ramen are delicious. So we got 4 packs of those, $12.50 each. We love making loaded ramen here. We got, oh, Dan must have put this in there because I didn't buy this, some flaked white tuna, $17. Dan eats a primarily carnivore diet, so I'm assuming that's probably why he bought those. I have a little bit of canning tomatoes, well, actually quite a few, honestly, because I have to empty out my high tunnel. So I'm going to be making some sauces, and I need the lemon juice to acidify my sauces. And then we bought a ton of crackers because we're big fans of crackers. And I do, when I start getting into my sourdough baking in the wintertime, it's the only time I bake bread, or sourdough bread rather, is in the winter, and then I'll make sourdough discard crackers and things like that. but I can never make enough for what we actually consume. These are my absolute favorite, these almond flour crackers. If you are a gluten-free person, I definitely recommend these. They are absolutely scrumptious. $12.50 a box. $9 for these pita bite crackers, which are also really good. And I think that's all we got for, oh no, we got these ones too. These Crunchmaster toasted sesame and artisan 4 cheese. I am not a fan of the 4 cheese one. It has, I think it's probably Parmesan or some stronger flavored cheese, but I have a couple members of my family that love them. The toasted sesame though are excellent, and these are also gluten-free. $12.56 a box, and we got 3 boxes of those. And then as usual, we got our customary 1 case of Annie's mac and cheese. This is just tradition in our family. We actually use almost the entire case in one meal, but my kids love them, and it's just kind of a nostalgic thing. So $20 for that case. Dan needed some more contact solution. These were $20 for the double box of contact solution. And with the holiday season coming up, again, thinking ahead, I got 2 packages of some, oh, you know what? I didn't notice that there's 2 different kinds here. Magic. Well, I'm assuming that's probably a tape that you can't see when you put it on. And then gift wrapping tape there, $16 for 1 package. So $16 a piece. This brand of peanut butter, I really like. It's the Kirkland brand of peanut butter. And it's $13 for 2 things of peanut butter, which I feel like is a pretty darn good price. This was one thing we did notice, a huge increase again. It's weird because vanilla is kind of all over the place, and it has been for years. We've had it, been able to purchase it for as cheap as $12 for this exact same brand, and it was $18, which is the most expensive we have ever seen it. The last time, I want to say it was $14. I'll have to double check, but still, that's expensive. And I know vanilla is very easy to make. I've made it a few times, but we go through so much of it, so we buy it. But honestly, at that price, I should probably go back to making it again. $14.50 for garlic stuffed olives. These are so delicious. And then I needed a little bit more yeast because we're heading back into baking season again. So I buy this Red Star yeast and I freeze this. It will last up to 2 years in the freezer. And $8.50 for 2 of them, or sorry, for 1. I bought 2. And I love figs. So I found these organic sun-dried figs, $20 a bag. They are so scrumptious. I absolutely love these quick cooking steel cut oats. They are absolutely delicious. I love eating this for breakfast in the wintertime with some frozen fruit on it. $18, and we got 2 bags. These are pure semi-sweet chocolate chips. Look at the price. What on earth? That seems really expensive for chocolate chips, but it is 2.4 kilograms. And then this is our favorite organic baking cocoa, and it was $22 for this bag, which was, I think, quite a bit more expensive than last time. I'll have to double check on that, but that's 700 grams of baking cocoa. It is organic, which is nice, and we do like the flavor of this. We make our own homemade hot chocolate all winter long, and this is the cocoa we like to use for that. We do lots of baking, but when we were really busy a couple weeks ago, Dan bought this bread. So this is sprouted organic wheat bread, the Silver Hills brand, which is a good brand. And I love this bread so much. It is like when you make it toast with it, it's like a chewy texture, like crunchy and chewy combined, which I absolutely love. So I bought 4, was it 4? Yes, 4 double bags of those. And they were, if this price is right, I'm gonna have to go double check. That says $6. If that was actually $6 for that double bag, that is a really good price for organic sprouted grain bread. For 4.5 kilograms, $13 for organic sugar, and we bought a case at $52. And then 2 cases of Zavia for $25. So this is a fizzy pop that doesn't have any sugar in it that Dan really likes. And some canned pineapple. I actually canned a fair bit of pineapple, and I forgot to tell Dan that. So when he put this in the cart, he didn't realize that I already had my own homemade canned pineapple, but that's okay because we can stick those on the pantry shelf and use them when we run out of my own home canned pineapple. Whenever I show pineapple and I say that we use pineapple on our pizza, I'll get multiple comments of people saying that that is just the grossest thing ever. And either they'd never heard about it before or they just can't understand why people like pineapple on pizza. But I am someone who will put pineapple on any kind of pizza that I make because I like the sweetness of it. It's delicious. So don't knock it till you try it. And then we also have for pizza as well, and salad actually. In our Greek salad, we put this is black olives, which I can't even handle the smell of black olives. And then someone will say, oh, you can just pick them off. I'm like, no, you can't. You can't just pick them off because the flavor soaks into everything around it. So anyway, everyone in my family likes black olives except for me. I make my own tomato paste using the skins and the seeds of all of the tomatoes that I can. And then I freeze dry it and then grind it up into a powder. And then that works perfectly well when you add a little bit of water to it to make a paste. However, I never have enough of it. So we have 2 of these cases of the organic tomato paste at $16 a box. Shopping like this definitely saves us money. There's no question about that. But more than anything, it is convenient for us. Not having to go to the grocery store all the time. Even though we may still go to the grocery store once every week or 2, it's usually just to pick up 1 or 2 things. We don't do big grocery shops generally at our local small grocery stores. So that's definitely a big part of it. And then of course there is the cost savings on top of that. You'll notice that we don't have any meat or vegetables in our grocery shop. We buy very little meat from the grocery store and very few vegetables because we grow a lot of that here on our own property. Although this year we did take a pause on growing meat birds for the first time in probably 15 years and pork, but we purchased those from a local farmer direct. So we're still getting the good quality kind of homegrown meat without having had to do the work. We just needed a bit of a break from it this year. I also grow a big garden and we preserve a lot of the food out of that garden. So I don't have to buy onions or potatoes or squash or beets or anything like that because we grow those here. I also grow a lot of my own tomatoes and make a lot of my own tomato products, although I also buy tomatoes from a farmer direct, so that I can have all of the tomato products that we need for the entire year. I can't grow enough here in the north in the high tunnel that I have. If I got another high tunnel, I probably could, but I only have one. So I don't grow enough tomatoes either. But I do love supporting other farmers who are growing things that I can't or don't have time to grow myself. On the note of my garden, we're going to be doing my big squash harvest, which is one of my favorite harvests of the year. I look forward to it. We had some really cold weather the last couple of nights, and even though we didn't get frost, it was cold enough to kill the squash vines. I've never seen that happen before where the squash vines are killed by cold without frost, but it happened this year. This has been a very strange year in the garden. But the exciting thing is that means that we're going to be able to do the squash harvest in the next couple of days. And that is my very favorite harvest of the entire year to do. And we're expecting over 200 squash this year. And walking around the squash bed, I was able to see probably the biggest pumpkin I have ever grown in the middle of the pumpkin patch. So I cannot wait to share that with you. If you do want to see that video, please make sure that you are subscribed and you have the bell notification turned on, and that way you'll be notified when I post that video. I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.